blood of Jesus. We say, Lord, have your way, Lord, in the name of Jesus. Come against every territorial spirit. We come against every disturbances. Come against every manipulations of the people. We say, Lord, have your way in the name of Jesus. Holy Spirit, take preeminence.
Amen.
We give you praise, we give you honor.
Hallelujah.
In Jesus' blessed name we have prayed.
Amen.
Let's be seated. You are welcome once again. Into the teachings of the book of Timothy. Today we'll be talking about 1 Timothy chapter 3 from verses 1 to 7. That's what we'll be discussing today. But before we go on, can we have a recap of last week? What did we learn last week? What did you take home last week? We talked about 1 Timothy chapter 2. We finished it last week. So what can you say about 1 Timothy? What has affected you? What is it that you want to be practicing based on that teaching? Should I call names? Sabimbo. What did you learn last week?
About dressing.
Okay.
I'm on the dressing. As women, we dress. Everywhere we go.
Okay. You know, there's this saying, the way you dress is the way you'll be addressed. So we were taught to be modest in our dressing. What else have you learned? Daddy?
We discussed First Timothy. We discussed what St. Paul was teaching concerning the attitude of, basically the attitude of women in the gathering of the church gathering. Well, the issue of clothing was discussed. The issue of being quiet. That the female is not supposed to speak in the presence of the male, and it's not supposed to teach him. Basically, it's just describing what is expected of the female folk and the male folk within the church.
Thank you, sir. Thank God that we really addressed it last week, that women, God has anointed some women to walk in His vineyard. And it's just like a continuation of chapter 2. And we also talked about prayer. Don't let us forget about that we ought to pray for all men and even those in authority. We are going into chapter 3, which from verses 1 to 7, that's what we'll be addressing today. And it basically talks about the qualities of an overseer, the qualities of an elder in the church. And it talks about the guidelines for measuring a candidate's reputation. Before we go on, there's this letter that I came across, and I would like to read to you. It says, "Dear Steve, I am looking for an opportunity for ministry and wondered if your church has a position available. I am a single man in my 50s, short of stature, slightly built, bowed, with a beard. My health is not the best. I have difficulty with my vision, but in spite of my physical limitations, I have seen the Lord use me in many ways. I have never been able to stay in full-time ministry for long because of repeated problems with my financial support. But I have always continued serving the Lord, even when I have had to take a secular job. I used to have a violent temper, but the Lord has given me victory over that problem. As my resume shows, I've been involved in the founding of a number of churches. Although I have never stayed in one place for much over 3 years, I admit I am not a persuasive or eloquent public speaker. In fact, I have been criticized over this matter. But I do maintain that the Lord uses me in this capacity and I would like to have opportunities to speak regularly in your church. Some have complained about my speaking because at times I get carried away and forget about the flock. I must also warn you that my teaching has often stirred up controversy, even to the point of causing riots in some towns. I don't want to hide the fact that I've been sent to prison several times for my part in causing such disturbances. My life has been threatened on numerous occasions, and I've been physically attacked several times. A number of evangelical churches are divided in their opinions about me. Even some of the churches I helped founded are turned against me. I have done some writings on various theological and church-related topics. Although a well-known Christian leader complained that I am hard to understand in places. I am not particularly strong at administrative details, being somewhat forgetful, but I am a hard-driving, zealous, dedicated man. I believe I could be useful in the ministry of your church, especially in discipling any young man who wants to follow the Lord. Please let me hear from you. If you received that kind of a letter as a pastor or as a leader, would you take that person? Would you accept that person's resume? Would you accept its application? Before we go on, considering the fact that we're talking about leadership, the qualities of a good leader.
Can't really say until you really see. You can call him for half a minute or interview. From that you assess him, his mode of dressing, his speech, when he is talking, answers to questions and so on. His posture, physical.
That's good one. But literally, when you receive a resume like that, what would you feel? Before you even consider, let's see him, let's see what he has to offer, or let's view, the kind of person, maybe through conversation you'll be able to know what kind of a person this man is. Before then, what would have crossed your mind?
Discourage, and talk with this person. I'm not going to have this in my
Do you have anything to say?
I think I would want him to come
Okay.
and serve in different departments.
Such as where?
Well, the children's school, for instance, the ushering.
Children's school, sir. If I might take you on that, sir. Part of the letter says he has been in prison so many times. So he has no credibility. And you will have to do a DRB check before you can work with children. So how would you consider that? Daddy?
I just don't feel like
Well, I think I understand where Grandpa is coming from. We want to consider him to be someone like Onesimus. The relationship between Onesimus and Paul, then Philemon. The issue is this: he has some qualities, and at the same time, there are several of questionable things. It can be a good mentor to the upcoming ones, and one would just look at in what area, because I believe in one thing. We cannot reject. That's part of our job as a church to rehabilitate someone. That's part of our job as a church to help the fallen, the rejected ones, to bring them in and turn them around for good. Do you understand? So we just have to look at the resume, look at which area will he be more serviceable, better off. When it comes in terms of finances, in terms of dressing, definitely we won't look at that side because you cannot be a good example. But there might be some other areas, whether to write, If he's good in writing, why not? Use him. He can use the skill and turn every other thing around for the church. He can be writing tracts.
Yes. Okay. Praise the Lord. I just wanted us to address that. That is the life of Paul. If you look at it, that was his life. When he gave his life to Christ, we saw what happened when he went to some churches. They were skeptical about associating with him and identifying with him. And that makes us believe that there should be laid down rules and guidelines for leadership in the church. We can't just put anybody in the position of a leader. If a person comes to your church a first time, you can't just say, oh, this person is very bright, vibrant. The way he prays, the way he sings, the way he worships God. But first we have to watch the person. We have to tutor him. He has to go through some classes. There are some churches that no matter how vibrant you are or strong you are spiritually, you still have to pass through discipleship classes. And that is how we have to in Baptist. No matter how you are, you have to pass through the discipleship classes. I pray that God will help us in Jesus' name.
Amen.
And the fundamental thing we have to know is that Christ is the head of our church. And any rule and any guidelines that is not based on the scripture is not acceptable. So, in view of that, we must not say we are choosing leaders based on the world's mode of democracy. Oh, this is the person we want, and so and so be it. No, that is not the way God works. And here, verse 3, chapter 3 from verse 1, it says, this is a faithful saying. If a man desires the position of a bishop, he desires a good work. Praise the Lord. It says, this is a faithful saying. If a man desires, this is a faithful saying. It means this is no joke. This is what should be. This is what I think should happen. Praise the Lord. It says, if a man desires, does that mean you have to desire? Because here we're talking about qualifications of overseers, which we can interpret as pastors or elders in the church. So, can a man desire to be a pastor in this our present age? I don't know what happened. Remember, he said women should not do anything in the church. Now, he's now talking about somebody that will lead the church. And what he's saying is, it's not just any kind of person that will lead this person. It's not just any kind of gender, any kind of man. It has to be somebody that is spiritually mature. Somebody that is not a day old in the Lord. That is the person we are talking about. He says, this is a faithful saying. If a man desires the position of a bishop, he desires a good thing, a good work. Paul spells out about 15 qualifications here from verses 1 to 7 that are no doubt to what spiritual maturity entails. But before we examine the qualifications in more detail, several things need to be said. First, most of these qualities are also prescribed elsewhere in the Bible for Christians, including women. So it is not just for leaders, it is not just for pastors. We all should be seeking to grow in all these areas. That is one thing we should have at the back of our mind. Secondly, spiritual maturity takes time. It is not something that you achieve in a day. It is not something that you achieve in a month. So it takes time, it takes effort, and it takes discipline. That is why we have discipleship classes. It takes discipline. According to 1 Timothy chapter 4 from verse 7. It takes discipline. There are no shortcuts to these things, especially to spiritual maturity. We live in a day whereby we are used to instant everything. We want to make food, we can make it. Some people even told me they can make amala in the microwave now. There are so many things, so many foods you make in the microwave, so many things, instant things, shortcut to things. Even our children now, they don't even want to open books. They want to go online to check for meaning of things. We have dictionaries. I can assure you some people, it's been a long time they've opened a dictionary. You know? So, shortcuts everywhere, but spiritual maturity has no shortcuts. The crucial question is, are you involved in this process? It's a daily process. Third, no one is perfectly qualified to be a church leader. And that was why I read out that letter the first time. That if we are looking for a perfect person to fit a place, there's no way we can get one. And that is why we always enjoy, just like we were taught last week, that we should always pray for our leaders, especially the men of God, because they are human beings too. They need our prayers. They need our prayer support. So no one is, perfectly qualified. These qualities, for most parts, are not the kind of thing where you can say, I have arrived. No. You can't say, I have arrived. I'm there. I'm matured. I've attained the full stature. There's always room for both. That is one thing we should have at the back of our mind as we're going through this teaching. If you require perfection, no one will be qualified as an elder. So, at the same time, an elder should not be in glaring violation of any qualification. We should all strive. We should all strive to be perfect. We should all strive. We might not attain it, but we can always strive to get there. Praise the Lord. So every elder or every overseer or every pastor or every bishop, as some translation says, ought to have a sense of inadequacy in himself when he considers the office of overseer, but also sees that God has called him to this good work. What am I saying? Always know that you are weak, but God is your strength. That the strength you have is only in God, is our sufficiency. So who is fit to be a leader in the church? You know, this is a faithful saying. Paul has just, he has just told us, just like he said, that some women are not to hold a particular place in the later part of part 2. But now he's saying, a man, if a man desires the position of a bishop, he desires a good thing. The focal point here is the person's reputation. If you look at those verses from verses 1 to 7, it wasn't really talking about their duties. It was talking about their reputation, their qualities. Praise the Lord. So, who is fit to lead in the church? Verse 2 says, a bishop then must be blameless. Can a man be blameless? That's the question we should ask ourselves. Especially in this world. Do you think a man can be blameless? Or a woman? Because God has called every one of us. In Joel, he says, he has anointed everyone. Your young men will see visions. Your old men will dream dreams. And I believe including the women. So, can a man be blameless? Because the first quality here is the one that holds the other qualities. Because anyone that is not blameless cannot go through, cannot even have all those other qualities that we're talking about. So do you think a man can be blameless? Mamia?
I believe if it's not possible, it won't be written in the Bible this way. That the man that is blameless. You want to look at it in this time and place. It means like it's not somebody that they will say, down that always beats his wife. How do you want to make him a victim? Or just the person will not, they will see as even if not perfect but close to perfection. Because obviously in this world there is always one thing. And even as bright as the sky is, there's always somewhere dark in the sky. So we have to consider that one as well. But being blameless, that close to perfection, even though not perfect.
Yeah. I mean, that is someone that is
beyond reproach.
Above reproach, yeah.
Right? Just like she said, I mean, normal thing that you would not expect, even from an ordinary member. You shouldn't find a pastor doing it. And that's why this issue of what you are saying is what people should see you doing. Don't say, oh, just listen to what I'm saying, don't do what I'm doing. So the aspect of blameless that Paul is talking about here is living above and beyond reproach. That through you as a leader, people will not be saying negative things concerning God or the faith that you profess you are. Or you are something.
So that's it, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. We are saying that someone that is above, that is beyond reproach, that is blameless, that does not have questionable character. That's the person we're talking about here. It says, it spreads across his whole life, all areas, all departments, all spheres of his life. His personal life, his family life, his public life, his professional life. It spans across all those ones. He must be temperate. That's what the Bible says. When you're talking about his personal life, he has to be temperate. He has to be self-controlled. He has to be respectable. He has to be hospitable, upright, holy, disciplined. He has to love what is good, not given to drunkenness, not violent. He has to be gentle. It must not be contentious. It must not be quarrelsome. It must not be overbearing, not quick-tempered, and not a lover of money. That's talking about his own personal life. And when you talk about his family, he must be above reproach in his family. He is to be the husband of one wife. That's what the Bible says. One woman, man. It must not a man and a man, or a woman and a woman. It says it must be the husband of one wife, manage his own family well, and see that his children obey him with proper respect. Being the husband of one wife basically talks about fidelity to one's wife. Then he must be above reproach in his public life too. He must not be a recent convert. That's part of the qualities. And for good reasons too. He may become conceited, he may become proud. And when he becomes proud, he can easily fall into the trap of the devil. And that's why we say he must not be a recent convert. Also, he must have a good reputation with outsiders, so that he will not fall into disgrace and into the devil's trap. Finally, he must be above reproach in his professional life. Some people, they are Sunday Christians. When it comes to Monday to Saturday, they are another thing. But what we are saying here is, he must be above reproach. He must be blameless, even in his professional life. He must be able to teach and hold firm to the message, that he can encourage others by sound doctrine and refute those who oppose to it. He must be a man of his word. They must not say, no, is it Mr. Hay? No, he doesn't keep to his words. In his place of word, they can't really rely on him. He must be blameless in all areas of his life. That's one of the first quality. And the second one says, the husband of one wife. This quality, just like it is in the book of Timothy, it is also in the book of Titus. Like that. It says it must be husband of one wife. And unfortunately, this term has been misused in a lot of ways, especially in this our world that we are in. And it's so unfortunate that even some churches are practicing it, But we thank God for the grace He has given unto us to know the truth. It says, an elder must be married, not single. He must be blameless. He must not, be him for infidelity. He must be faithful to his wife. That's what Paul is saying here. He must not be polygamous. He must not, in thought and in deed, he must not be immoral. Praise the Lord. So that's one of that's the second quality of a bishop or an overseer. The third one says he must be temperate or vigilant. Temperate. What can we say about that? When you say someone is temperate, it's English. Sister Toro, you're welcome, ma. God bless you. Mother, you're welcome. When you say someone is temperate, what do we mean?
What does that relate to alcohol?
In a way, in the original text, yes, it was mixed with wine, it was mixed with alcohol. And it came to mean when someone is sober-minded, when someone is clear-headed, you know, it means when someone is vigilant. That's what it means.
Amplified is using self-control.
Self-control, okay.
And that, I think, goes in line with what Jenfa said.
Okay. So, the verb is associated with alertness in view of the enemy. When you are being alert. Okay. We can associate it with drunkenness. When someone is drunk, there's no way it can be alert. And here we're talking about somebody that is spiritually alert. I mean, and if you're not spiritual,
I'm not given to
wine. Yes, so even King James too. Some old text says that not vigilant. King James says vigilant. Can we have an NIV there, please? Temperate. That's what NIV says. Temperate. King James says vigilant. I don't know if we have any other version. Praise the Lord. But here it's talking to be mentally alert, to be clear-headed, not to be how do I put it now? When you don't know what you are doing, you know. That's what the verse says. And it puts a man who has a sound spiritual discernment. You know, if he doesn't have that, there's no way he can maintain, there's no way he can lead the people. So it can be associated with drunkenness, because a person that is drunk is not alert spiritually, is not alert mentally, even physically, he's not himself. You know, we've seen a drunkard before, the way he swags everywhere, he swaggers everywhere, and then sometimes they even fall into the gutter of heat and stuff like that. So that is it. So, temperate or vigilance. We're still going to talk about drunkenness, not giving too much wine, because that's part of what the Bible talks about. So the next one says sober-minded. Sober-minded. King James says prudent. And NIV says self-controlled. Self-controlled. Then NKJV says sober-minded. King James says sober. Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
So, it translates to being sensible. It means to be of sound mind, especially in the sense of not being impulsive. You know, somebody that is not that is not moved easily by his feelings, but by obedience to God's wisdom as revealed in His word. Oh, this person has anointed me. So, the way I'm going to relate with this person, I'm going to show this person when I get on the people today. You know, it's not somebody that is impulsive. He doesn't act on impulse. You know, when you anoint him, You hardly know. When he's annoyed, when he's sad, when something bad happens, you hardly know. I've seen a pastor that was told that he just lost his daughter. But he had to mount on the pulpit and even preach before going back to deal with the situation. Thank God, God brought the daughter, to life. But that is the people, you have to be matured, spirit, soul, and body. You are not moved by what you see. You are not moved by your feelings. It's not impulsive. It's sober-minded. It's sensible. That's the fifth. The next one says of good behavior. Of good behavior. You can't see somebody that has a questionable character and say, oh, we want this person to lead a particular. Don't let us even talk about the church. Even in our secular world, you can't just take anybody, accept anybody into a position. You would have studied the person, you would have studied his resume, you would have asked around. You have references that you will ask questions from. It must be of good behavior, respectable. Respectable. That's the kind of person we're talking about. The Bible talks about the virtuous woman. It says his husband is respected in the city. Is respected everywhere, in his family, in the community, at his place of work, wherever he is. That aura of respect is upon that person. It means to be decent, to be modest. We were taught about being modest in our dressing last week. Yeah, we have to be modest in our behavior too. Fine, we're talking about qualities of a bishop, but it also extends to us as Christians. Because we have to be all this to get to the kingdom of God. We have to be all this to be able to make the work of our pastors, of our leaders, easy. God will help us in Jesus' name. Now let's open to 1 Timothy 2:9. It talks about, although it translates to a woman's apparel, but it points to a person who lives in a well-ordered, decent life in every area, so that he's appealing to God and to his word. That's, the kind of quality we are looking for. You have to be orderly. You have to be decent.